guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you've all had a wonderful day. Today's video is my Cards of TBR. So if you haven't seen January or February's video, basically I use a deck of cards to help me choose my reading TBR for the month. So I have my cards and I have my notepad here, which tells me, which prompts I will be using to help me choose the books. So I have this really gorgeous set of Flower Fairies playing cards, and each suit is a genre, and then throughout that genre each card has a prompt. I think that makes sense. So before we start, I have my Star book and my Bomb book, which I pick each month. Star book is the book I really want to read. Bomb book is the book I'm not so keen on reading. So they are picked via like if I come across the jokers in the pack. So the red joker is my Star book, and I am picking Love Reborn by Yvonne Woon. So this is the second book in the Dead Beautiful trilogy. I've been meaning to read it for ages and just haven't got around to it, so I thought I would put it in as my Star book. And then my Bomb book is The Taker by Alma Katsu. And yeah, I think it's a paranormal romance that follows Dr. Luke Finley. He turns up to a hospital shift and is expecting another evening of minor injuries, but instead he meets a vampire. That's basically the gist of it. So yes, they are my Star book and my Bomb book. So we might get these, who knows? I will put them up there. And then the last thing to tell you before we pick our cards is I tend to pick 5 books each month. And then I have an extra book, which is my buddy read, which I do with the lovely Nikki. And the book that is our next buddy read is Bitter Blue by Kristen Kashaw. It is the 3rd book in the Graceling series. Book 1 was amazing. Book 2, you'll have to watch my wrap up for February to see what I thought. But yes, the 3rd book is in our TBR for March. So that one is a given. And then, yes, we will use the cards to pick the next 5 books that I'm going to read. So the way I did it last month was to pick 5 cards out first and then go away and choose them and come back and show you what I picked. So I have had Dre shuffle these again, and I'm just going to do like a little mini shuffle. I'm a terrible shuffler. But the first month I did it, January, I seemed to get a lot of like thrillers and detective novels, which is fine, but I did get an awful lot of books in the same category. Last month was a bit more varied, so fingers crossed March will also be fairly varied. So I will just spread them out and we will pick a card. We have the 8 of Hearts, which is the Summer Forget-Me-Not Fairy. So Hearts is middle grade or classic, and 8 is a person on the cover. So just has to be a person. It can be like a drawing or a cartoon or an actual picture. Doesn't matter what it is. So there's that one. Next up, we have this one, which is the 10 of Clubs. So clubs, if I remember rightly, is fantasy and sci-fi. So I haven't actually pulled out a club yet, which I don't think I've pulled out a club yet. I can't remember. But 10 is boyfriend picks. Dre is actually upstairs, which is really handy because usually he's not here when I'm filming. So I will get him to pick a book off my fantasy shelves. It's going to be funny because most of them are in a series, so I'm going to have to let him know what series I have and haven't read yet. So there is that one. I have completely muffled this pack of cards, so we will pick again. We're going for this one, which is the Jack of Clubs. So Jack, Queen, King and Aces are all the same prompt. So Jack is the oldest on my TBR for fantasy and sci-fi. So I will have to look into that because I really don't want to start a new series. So I will try and pick the oldest fantasy or sci-fi I have that isn't in a series for that one. Just because I really don't need to start anymore. I need to finish some. But yeah, so there's that. And then this one. So the Ace of Hearts is below middle grade again. Middle grade or classic, sorry, but it's below a 3-star rating on Goodreads. I'm not sure if I'm going to have any in that category, so if I don't, we'll just come back and choose another card. Or maybe we'll see if there's one in a different category, but we shall see. And then finally, let's pick our final one. It's this one, the 7 of Clubs again. So again, fantasy sci-fi. And then it is 7, so that is a free pass. So I can pick any book I want in any genre. So that's worked out quite nicely. So yes, I'm going to go away, find my books, come back, and I will show you which ones I picked. Okay, so I'm back and I have picked my books. Obviously, we didn't pick out any jokers this month, so no star book, no bomb book, which means, unfortunately, I don't get to continue on with the Dead Beautiful series, but I do have 5 other pretty cool books. So the first one was the 8 of Hearts, which was to pick a middle grade with a person on the cover, and I have picked Back Home by Michelle Magorian. And it just says, it is 1945 and 12-year-old Rusty is back in England after 5 years in the USA. In a world of war-damaged cities, rationing and drabness, where even her family seem like strangers, Rusty feels alone and homesick as she tries to belong to 2 countries at once. Finally, her tough spirit leads her to a dramatic and devastating rebellion. So this is by the same author that wrote Goodnight, Mr. Tom, which is one of my favourite stories. So I'm really hoping that I enjoy this one. That's the first one. Next up is, they're not in the order I picked them out because I've mixed up. But the next one was supposed to be the Ace of Hearts, which is to pick a book with a below a 3-star rating on Goodreads. And I didn't have any other middle grades that fell into below 3 stars. So I just went along and tried to find some that fit into like the 3-star gap. I don't know if this counts as a middle grade. It's probably young adult, but this is the one I'm going for. It's Cold Spell by Jackson Pierce. And this was like a 3.4 something on Goodreads. So that's why I picked this one, because it was still in the 3-point mark. But yeah, it was supposed to be above 3, but I don't think I have any. And it would take me forever to go through and look for them all. So yeah, I've picked this one. It's my game. I can bend the rules slightly. But yeah, so it just says, Ginny and Kai are in love, or so Ginny thought. A mysterious girl with beauty as flawless as ice enchants Kai. When he's swept away by this intoxicating snow maiden, Ginny must cast aside her fears and pursue him. In the face of mortal danger, will Ginny and Kai's love hold strong or slowly melt away? So this is a retelling of the Snow Queen story, which I absolutely love. It is my all-time favourite, I think. So to have retelling sounds really cool. So I really hope I enjoy this one. Next up was Boyfriend Picks. So that was the 10 of Clubs. Yeah, 10 of Clubs. And it was in the fantasy section, so I went through my shelves with him and I said, please don't pick any from these series or these series. So he picked the next book in a series that I need to read, and that is The Land of Stories, A Grim Warning. So this is the 3rd book in that series, and I have been putting off reading it for ages. I don't know why. I think it's just one of those ones that just isn't at the front of my thoughts. So yes, he picked this one for me to continue on with the series I'm reading, which is really helpful, actually. But it just says, Connor Bailey thought fairy tales were behind him, but now he finds himself on a mission to crack a 200-year-old clue left behind by the masters of storytelling. I'm going to leave it there because it is the 3rd book, so there's more about what happens like from previously, so I will leave it there. But I'm excited to continue on with the series, and hopefully it's a quick read because it's quite a chunky book, but we shall see. So there is that one. Next up was the Jack of Clubs, which is the oldest on your TBR in that section, which was fantasy. And I have picked this one. I believe it was last month's bomb book. It's Abigail Gibbs, the Dark Heroine, Dinner with a Vampire. And it just says, for Violet Lee, a chance encounter on a darkened street draws her into a world beyond her wildest imaginings. A timeless place of vast elegance and immeasurable wealth, of beautiful mansions and lavish parties, where a decadent group of friends live for pleasure alone. A place from which there is no escape, no matter how hard Violet tries. Yet all the riches in the world can't mask the darkness that lies beneath the gilded surface, embroidered in the charismatic but dangerous Caspar Vaughn. Violet and Caspar surrender to a passion that transcends their separate worlds, but it's a passion that comes with a price. So, as I said in February's video, this book has been on my shelf an incredibly long time, and I don't know if I'm still going to be into the vampire scene, so we're going to read and see how we get on. But yes, I picked that one as it is the oldest on my TBR in that genre. And then finally, it was the Seven of Clubs, which is a free pass, so I can pick any book in any genre. And I have gone for Fangirl by Rowell. This one I got last year, I believe, and I have to say it's one that I don't necessarily look at and think, oh, I really want to grab that and read it. So that's why I've picked it, because it is one that I tend to cast aside a little bit. But it just says, Kath and Ren are identical twins, and until recently they did absolutely everything together. Now they're off to university, and Ren's decided she doesn't want to be one half of a pair anymore. She wants to dance, meet boys, go to parties, and let loose. It's not so easy for Kath. She would rather bury herself in the fan fiction she writes, where there's romance far more intense than anything she's experienced in real life. Now Kath has to decide whether she's ready to open her heart to new people and new experiences, and she's realising that there's more to learn about love than she ever thought possible. I've heard really good things about it. Quite a few people that I follow on YouTube have given it a 5-star rating, so I'm excited to give it a go. I hope it's good, or I think it's good, but we shall see. So yes, they are the 5 books I have chosen, plus my buddy read, so there are 6 books altogether. So yeah, 6 books. We'll go through them again. So there's Fangirl by Rowell, Abigail Gibbs, The Dark Heroine, Chris Colfer's The Land of Stories, A Grim Warning, Cold Spell by Jackson Pierce, Back Home by Michelle Magorian, and then finally my buddy read with Nikki, Bitter Blue. I can't talk today. Bitter Blue by Christine Kershaw. So I'm pretty excited for this month's TBR. I have to say the one I'm probably most excited to read is Cold Spell by Jackson Pierce, purely because I love the story. But I am really excited to continue on with the Graceling series. So reading Bitter Blue is, yeah, quite exciting. But the other 4, I think, are kind of, they're all on a similar par. Like, I'm excited enough to read them, but I think the other 2 will end up coming first, and I will reach for those a lot quicker than the other 4. But that's what this game is all about. It's trying to get me to pick books that I wouldn't necessarily grab and get them off my shelves if I don't enjoy them. I am a big fan of DNFing these days. If I am struggling to read something and I'm not finding it interesting, I'm not going to force myself to read it, because that's when reading slumps happen, and I have had quite a few of those. So yeah, they're the books I have for March. Wish me luck if you have read any of them. Let me know what you thought without spoilers in the comment section down below. And yeah, that's everything for me. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.